We are with you on this Thursday evening. Hope that you are doing well or wherever else you may be watching around the globe. It may not be evening, could be morning, could be
Sure.
afternoon, but we're happy to have you. How are you, Ryno?
I'm doing great. How about yourself, Napes?
I'm doing well. How stupid do you have to be a coach of an Olympic team and think that you can use a drone on another team's practice and you're not going to get caught?
Pretty dumb, but we've seen some people do some dumb things too, i.e., the Patriots in the past, and just as recent as college football, Michigan sending people
Yeah,
allegedly into the stands, Napes.
but a drone? Like,
A
how are you going to miss
drone.
that?
Maybe it's extra security. The games are a high risk target. Who knows? But terrible, terrible on that coach's behalf.
It's just terrible. And I'll tell you something else I don't need. And you know me, I don't like talking about politics. I've been very open. I don't care who you vote for. Makes no difference to me. We live in America. Vote for who you want. That's
Yep.
what our country's founded on. You want to vote for Trump? Vote for Trump. You want to vote for Harris? Vote for Harris. Doesn't bother me. That's your right as an American. You vote for whoever you think would be the best candidate in office. That's how our system is. Our country is based on, and I don't have a problem with it. But here's where I do have a problem. Okay, don't jam it down my throat. All right, that's all I ask. Like I have a lot of friends that love Trump. I have a lot of friends that are Democrat, and they were going to vote for Biden until obviously he dropped out. I don't
Yeah.
care. Doesn't matter to me. Vote for Trump. Go right ahead. Vote for Biden, but now vote for Harris. I'm fine with that. But don't jam it down my throat. I don't need Steph Curry and Steve Kerr to come out, on the eve of the opening ceremonies in Paris and tell me that, who they're endorsing as
Sure.
president. Yeah, I don't care. I don't care who Steve Kerr endorses for president. I don't care who Steph Curry endorses for president. I don't need to hear it. I don't want to hear it. And it turns me off. It absolute turns me off.
Sure. Well, you've seen leagues get in trouble for this, for being too woke, pushing it too much into your face. I guess my counter to that, Grant, is where's the line? Steve Kerr has come out after horrific shootings and talked about those. So where is that middle ground for an athlete these days?
I'm fine in that regard for Steve Kerr, based on his family history and how his dad was murdered in Beirut, all right, and was a victim of gun violence. I
Yeah.
understand that. I understand that's a deep wound in his life and it's something he's very passionate about.
Yeah.
And so I'm okay with that. Uh, I've always been one, words to me are hollow. Actions speak louder than words. If you are an advocate of something, show me what you're doing to help out that cause, whether it's a charitable contribution, whether it is, what have you. All right. You're helping the homeless, but instead of helping them, all you do is talk about it. Well, go out and I want actions. I'm an action person. Actions speak louder than words. Okay. And I I understand that Steve Kerr has always been an advocate for gun control. It took
Yes.
his father away from him and his family. So I get that. I'm fine with that. I'm actually fine with all people that want to advocate gun control. I'm not saying take guns away because I'm the only one in my entire friendship group. I am the only one that doesn't
Mhm.
own a gun. Every single friend that I have that I know in America, in California, and I'm speaking primarily there, own
Sure.
guns. I'm the only one that doesn't. And I'm fine with that. I don't care. And they're all very responsible gun owners. They all go to classes. They all are registered. They all are, for lack of a better term, expert marksmen because they've gone to repeated classes. They're all responsible gun owners. I don't have a problem with that. But I also don't have a problem with people that are getting fed up with mass shooting in our country. I don't have a problem with that at all. I mean, it is a problem. And if you don't think it's a problem, then you're naive. You're living in a cave.
Yeah, and the two are not mutually exclusive. I bet you could ask a lot of people that exercise their rights under the Second Amendment. the same thing, and they would be on the same page. So you can be a responsible gun owner and still be against the black market for guns, people
Yes.
using them, taking serial numbers off of them. So it is one of those things that, yes, it can be done responsibly. I know many as well.
Again, I don't have the answers, but you asked me a question about what role do athletes have. I do not want politics entering the Olympics at all. Okay. I thought it was despicable. Okay. That the Israeli men's soccer team started off the Olympics. Okay. In Paris. And during the national anthem, there were boos and jeers.
Yeah.
All right. Like that bothers me. Okay. Like the Olympic Games are supposed to be immune from that. All right. The spirit of the Olympics is supposed to be immune from that. Now, I'm not naive. I understand there's a lot of politics that go in with the Olympic Games, where they're going to be held, the money, I get that. I'm not like naive to that. Okay. But the games themselves are supposed to be true competition. And there have been enemies that have competed against one another on the Olympic stage.
Sure.
Okay. And it doesn't enter into it. All right. It's like that doesn't enter into the walls of the Olympics within the competition.
Yeah, no, absolutely. It can bring you closer together in so many ways. It can bring different. It puts a spotlight off of the differences and onto the similarities. Two people running a race, playing the same game. It's sport. I think for you, 'cause you've seen both eras. Michael Jordan was criticized widely for not speaking out enough. So for me, I'm with you in this sense. If it's your platform, go for it. Do what you want. It's my choice if I want to listen to or follow that platform. But, the Olympics aren't Steph Curry's platform. They're the world's platform.
That's correct. Okay. So I have a very simple thought process when it comes to this. It was the same stance I took when Colin Kaepernick took a knee.
Yeah.
I'm fine with Colin Kaepernick protesting whatever he wants. I'm fine with Colin Kaepernick coming out and doing whatever he wants, but I'm not fine with protests going on at the workplace. Okay. His protest occurred within the workplace. I'm against that. I think that is wrong, and I don't think that should be allowed. I don't know where our viewers work. I don't know all of our viewers.
Yeah.
But I doubt very much that you could walk into your workplace and protest for whatever you believe in with a t-shirt, with a hat, with whatever actions. When you go to your workplace, you are expected to do your job within the window of what your job requirements are. I doubt very much that your employer would welcome you with open arms if you were coming to work to not only protest, but try to persuade others in the workplace to follow your lead. That would not fly. And if that was acceptable in America, then nothing would ever get accomplished in the workplace. It would be a circus.
Yeah, and the courts would be jammed up for wrongful terminations as well,
Yes.
because what kind of position does that put the boss in at that point? It's a great conversation to have. And yes, I mean, the workplace, is there a line between that? DeMarcus Cousins came out and said he wasn't allowed to play rap music inside the facility. And then the debate began, well, that's technically a workplace, right? So where is that line between the differences of an office and the differences of being a pro athlete?
It's again, if you are going to protest on an NFL field, that's within the workplace.
Yeah.
And I was against that. I'm still against that. And I think it's wrong. And I will always take that stance. I'm a huge advocate for standing up for what you believe in. I think you should stand up for what you believe in, but there's a place and time for everything.
No doubt. Well said.
All right. So we have got the Olympics. They've basically already started, but the opening ceremonies, I believe, tomorrow, correct?
Correct.
And then we will move on to the games. All right. So here we go. It's the eve of the Olympics, the official opening ceremony of the Olympics.
Yes.
Yes or no? The Olympic men's basketball team will win gold.
No.
Okay.
I'm going hot take and saying no. Steve Kerr, concerned about the defense, concerned about the effort. If you're relying heavily on Kevin Durant, I think that Team USA is in a unique situation where they have one-way players with the exception of a couple of guys. And against the world, Grant, I just think it's going to be a problem with the age as well.
I believe that if Team USA gets to the gold medal game, they will not be beat. I think if they don't win the gold, it will be before they get to the gold medal game.
Interesting. Very well could. Yeah, it's a big enough game if they get there. They've been on that stage before.
Right.
Most of these players have won championships or played in the playoffs.
I think they will win. I think they will win gold. I think it will be some close calls along the way. But I look at their roster, I look at the talent, and for that reason, I do think that they will win the gold medal. I also will tell you, and I've said this previously on other shows that we have done, if they don't win gold, it will be an absolute disaster for USA basketball in the highest regard. It will be an absolute failure. Okay? It will be a failure of USA basketball. And you and I have talked about this. I'm going to use the word system, Ryan.
Sure.
It will be a system failure.
Certainly. And if that does happen, it would be a time where you blow it up. You relook at the whole process like you're talking about. And maybe it's not the worst time as you've got this changing of the guard coming in with a lot of the guys that we see as the faces of the league headed out. And you've got a new group of stars coming in. Maybe you mix them in with some college kids. You've talked about having a different approach in terms of making a commitment. But yes, there will be a lot to be done with USA basketball.
All right. Women's basketball. I think they win the gold, and I think that they will win it comfortably. I'm well aware that everyone's making a big deal of Team USA getting beat by the WNBA All-Stars. I'm not. I still think that the women will coast to a gold medal.
I'm in complete agreement with you. A different ball game when it comes to the women's game. I think the American women are far superior to the world easily.
All right. I also want to talk about the new NBA deal where TNT is out, although they are going to sue the NBA. Amazon is global. I get all of that.
Mm-hmm.
How odd do you think it will be after next year not having inside the NBA, and how much do you think, I don't want to say hurt the brand, but that show has an enormous following and has been I think a real positive and a big boom for NBA popularity. I think a lot of people watch the NBA because of that show. I really do.
Yeah, and I think that show does a really good job of humanizing the players and giving you a balanced perspective from some of the greats that have played the game. And then obviously EJ, I don't even want to call him the traffic guy. He is an amazing talent and is as much as part of the team as anybody else. But to your point, it's going to be really different. I think for both generations, even the younger generations, we stay up to watch Inside the NBA. They keep the show relevant. Shaq'd in a Fool. And to me, Grant, it's the best studio show probably in my lifetime that I've ever seen. And I think you got to walk away from it. I know there's talk about Amazon trying to poach some of the guys. Chuck has talked about already retiring after this coming season, but very odd. You either got to leave it alone or let it keep going.
All right, we invite you to call the show. Ryan's got the link in the chat box. You got the QR code, and so you can give us a call. Let's talk some NFL football. Let's talk about the 49ers for a minute. Brandon Ayuk is not practicing, and now Trent Williams is holding out. That's not the way you want to start camp if you're the 49ers.
No, it's not. We know how important Trent Williams is. 3-4 without him in the record or without him on the field. So the offensive line starts with that. Got to be able to get the ball to the skilled guys. It'll be interesting to see. They got a big target on their back, Grant, and their age. It's not getting any younger when you look at some of their skilled players, specifically Kittle. So I think they're going to be fine, but I don't know. They've got some decisions to make.
All right, I want to get to this real quickly. I'm going to take a picture of this and send it to the sponsor, but not sports related. But I checked out Foster's and Paws based on your sponsorship of them. and my fiance and I ended up adopting a dog from them, and we had the
Wow.
best experience. Well, I love that. Let me take a photo of this, all right, so that they can
Snap
see
that.
this. That's great.
Really good stuff.
Yeah. You know what? Thank you for that. I'll make sure that they see that. We really appreciate that. They do great work. I mean, they're passionate animal advocates, and they do fabulous work. And I'm very happy that they have been on with us the last 2 years at times. And so I know they'll be grateful to see that as well. Thank you very much for that. We
Yes,
appreciate it.
very much. So, Grant, the over
Yeah.
under right now,
Yeah.
depending on where you look, it's between 11 and 11 and a half for the Niners.
I'm going
Let's
over.
say you're going to go over.
I'm going to go over. I think they win 12 games. They're too
Me too.
talented. I think that they have too many weapons. And I also think that they are head and shoulders the best team in that division.
Yep, I completely agree. Seattle, I think, is going to be down this year. Arizona down as well. The Rams, I got them at 10 wins. But yes, the Niners should take care of business. Probably should be the one overall in the NFC.
All right. If there's a wild card in that division, are you going Seattle or are you going the Rams?
I'm going the Rams.
Me too.
Yeah, I think Seattle, too many unknowns. You have you have three first-time coordinators. You got a first-time head coach. Geno Smith, is this his last season? Then you got Sam Howell, questions there, although he's played well in Washington. So definitely going to say Seattle's going to be under, and it's the Rams.
Speaking of the 49ers, did you watch the Receivers documentary on Netflix?
I've watched a couple episodes of it, yes.
It's fabulous. I think they do such a great job with going behind the scenes and showing the personalities and the family life of the players, whether it was Devontae Adams or Justin Jefferson or Deebo
Yeah.
Samuel and George Kittle. I think it's fabulous. I think they do such a great job with that series. It's absolutely phenomenal.
Yeah, speaking of humanizing players, it shows you there's more to Sunday, but it shows you everything that goes into Sunday. And something that I really liked is the fact that they focused in on some of the frustration that Devontae Adams was having in Oakland.
I have a question, and we appreciate you, Cap. Says, I agree, Grant. This year, the Niners must win the Super Bowl. Did I say that?
Here we go.
I didn't say
Cap,
that.
watch out, Cap.
Cap, where did I say that, buddy? There's the link if you want to call the show. Cap, when did I say this year the Niners must win the Super Bowl? Are you saying you agree with my win total, and now you're saying this year the Niners must win the Super Bowl? Is that what you're saying? Okay. If you say it that, then I'm fine with that, okay? Listen, winning the Super Bowl requires a few things. First of all, you got to have a degree of luck, okay?
Damn right.
You can ask the Kansas City Chiefs that. The year that they lost to Tom Brady in Tampa, they had both starting tackles out for the Super Bowl, and they didn't score a touchdown. That's unlucky, all right? I mean, you have to have a degree of luck as well to get to the Super Bowl. And look at the 49ers last year, and on the receivers documentary, when the Niners lost 3 games in a row in the middle of the season, it was Cleveland and Minnesota on the road, and then they came home and lost to Cincinnati. In the first quarter of the Cleveland game, Deebo Samuel got hurt and missed the subsequent games, and they lost all 3. So that tells me that Deebo Samuel is damn important to the offense. Ryan just talked about Trent Williams. Same thing when he wasn't on the field. So why would I think that if Samuel goes down for a period of time or Trent Williams isn't in the lineup, that everything's going to be different this year? So you got to have a degree of luck. You got to have certain players on the field. And I think Christian McCaffrey staying on the field for almost the entire year also was a big benefit and was one of the reasons why the 49ers were as good as they were.
Yeah, it's a great point. Mr. Reliable can do everything out of the backfield, in the backfield, picks up the blitz really well. But that luck, it really is something that you have to count into the formula. I'm really glad that you brought that up.
All right. If we go AFC West, Kansas City is clearly the team to beat.
Yes.
Who do you think is the second best team in that division? Chargers?
No, I'm not ready to go Chargers. I actually think it's going to be Denver, believe it or not. I think Bo Nix is going to have a pretty good – he's an older rookie. I think there is something to that, kind of how Russell Wilson was coming in. Sean Payton, he's been there now for a couple of years. I think the defense is going to be better in Denver, and I think they're going to feast within the division with the exception of running into Kansas City.
I think it's highly unlikely that Bo Nix is going to be able to do anything similar to what C.J. Stroud did in his rookie year with the Texans. I think that's unrealistic, and I think if Bo Nix is the guy that's your Week 1 starter, I think that they will not make the playoffs. I could
Well,
see them being you can't be 500 anymore because it's a 17 game
right.
season, but I think they'll be teetering on that kind of
Okay.
win total.
Okay. I got him at 10-7, but I understand that take too. I just think he's a little bit of a dual threat if he is the starter. And I think it translates. Sean Payton knows what to do with those guys, Grant. Think about that.
Well, again, I'll believe it when I see it. I think that the wild card in this division is Jim Harbaugh. I've always compared Jim Harbaugh to Billy Martin. Billy Martin could go to pretty much any team and make them good soon, but couldn't keep them good for long because his antics wore everybody out. But he would
Right.
be a difference maker when he got there. I see the same thing with Harbaugh here. I think the Chargers will be better. I think that they will be more disciplined. I don't think you'll see them take as many absurd chances with field position on fourth downs.
Sure hope
And I
not.
think that for that reason, they'll be better.
They could be easily, would you say, a game and a half, 2 games better just on decisions alone?
Yes.
Yeah, I don't disagree with you there. I just don't know if Harbaugh has run his course. I think there is a nostalgia to him, but has he played out too much with the pros? I don't know if you saw the video from training camp today of him pulling some of the offensive line basically on the sled, but I'm split there. I could see it. The receiver core still a little bit of a question.
All right. So let's go back to the North, NFC North. I think it's a 2-team race with Detroit and Green Bay. I do not think Minnesota is going to be very good this year. I do not think Chicago is going to be very good. To me, the Lions should win that division, but I got to tell you, if Jordan Love gets on the field soon, which I think he will, I like what the Packers have done.
Certainly. I don't disagree with you. I think Josh Jacobs gives Jordan Love something that he has not had yet in his career, and a really strong running back that can pound the ball. Detroit is on the natural progression to me. I just can't put anybody ahead of them. And although Chicago has probably arguably one of the best receiver cores in the league, Caleb Williams, I got to see it before I believe it. I got Detroit ahead of both teams, but I think Green Bay will be second in that.
Yeah, I think both Detroit and Green Bay are playoff teams. So I think the loser of the division will be the wild card.
Yep, I do not disagree with you. Minnesota, do you think that's going to be a J.J. McCarthy team sooner rather than later?
I do. I do think it will be sooner rather than later. And I just don't think personnel-wise they're going to be good enough to win that division or be a playoff team. AFC North, to me, is the best division in football.
100%.
I think it's the strongest division in football. And I could see that division going a variety of different ways. Baltimore, obviously, was superior last year, and they're going to be very good again this year. Pittsburgh's got new faces at the quarterback. I think Cincinnati bounces back if they're healthy. I think they're going to be right there. And I think Cleveland, Cleveland's defense is so good. Deshaun Watson was very disappointing last year, but I think they're still a good team.
Look at what Joe Flacco did with Cleveland. When you have a defense, Russell Wilson won a Super Bowl with a defense similar to that. And Russell didn't do anything extravagant behind center. The Joe Burrow Cincinnati puzzle is a hard one for me to put together. They're talented in the West, but Joe Burrow is such a hard time staying on the field, Grant. And as we talked about the Niners, the degree of luck, I think it's a 2-team race. I do think Cleveland, because of that defense, ultimately is going to show through. But Deshaun Watson, I don't know how much faith I can put in him. I mean, that contract looks worse and worse every day, Nabes.
And I can never count out Pittsburgh if they're coached by Mike Tomlin. Tomlin always
100%.
has this team dancing. He's always has them 500, better than 500, always has them in the playoff picture. I will always consider Pittsburgh a threat if Mike Tomlin is on the sidelines.
Yeah, and 100%. If there's a place that Russell Wilson is going to have a second life in the NFL, Pittsburgh has to be it. With Mike Tomlin, he's come into camp. He looks better, looks leaner. It's his team, I believe, to start with. And the question becomes, can he hold the team and Can't bet against Mike Tomlin, as you said.
And here's the deal: the Ravens have a completely different look this year. They got Derrick Henry at running back,
100%, and that's a hell of a dual threat, by the way.
Oh boy,
2 different worlds with Lamar Jackson and Derrick Henry. But yeah, Lamar, do you think he has as special of a season as he did last year, reigning MVP?
If he's healthy, I think yes. I think he will. The problem with Lamar is I have no confidence in him when January comes.
It's different. It's like he tightens up. Some of those, it's great. It's not even the plays; it's the decision making, especially in that playoff game last season.
He's Dak Prescott.
Well put. Very well put.
I mean, he's better than Dak Prescott, but he's Dak Prescott or Dak Prescott's Lamar. Call it whatever you want. All right, NFC South. I think this division is so up for grabs. I really do. I don't think it's very strong, but I think other than Carolina, I think it's very balanced. I think it's a very balanced division.
Yeah, I don't disagree with you. I think Bryce Young is still another year or two away. You lose Brian Burns on the edge there. I think Kirk Cousins bounces back. He was cleared today medically to play. I think, and besides that, you got Penix behind him, who probably will sit for a year or two if Cousins can stay healthy. I'm riding the Atlanta train. I think Kirk Cousins still has a little bit left in there. But Tampa Bay, Grant, Baker Mayfield, he's had a hell of a resurgence, partner.
I like Tampa to win that division. I'm not sold on Derek Carr and his consistency in New Orleans. So, to me, I still think what I saw from Mayfield and the Bucs last year, I think they will edge out that division. I really do. But it's well balanced. I mean, other than Carolina, you could see any of those 3 teams win the division. You wouldn't be surprised, right?
Absolutely not. I don't 100% with you.
All right. AFC South. Listen, I thought what happened in Houston last year with CJ Stroud was remarkable. Okay.
Very much so.
I mean, it was remarkable. Jacksonville the year before had come up and showed that they were going to be a team to reckon with. But there's something going on in Houston with DeMeco Ryans and Stroud and what they built on that team. I'm going to go with the Texans to win the division.
Yeah, I can't go against them. Jacksonville always seems to stumble at some point, even though Trevor is tough as hell. He's paid now $275 million. It's just with Houston. I like that was a place, Grant, that nobody could get it done for a while. Nobody. It was a place where coaches went to be fired. And CJ Stroud, he has a poise about him and a professionalism about him that blows me away. And he's only going to be in year 2. I think it continues. They win the division, but I've got Jacksonville right behind him.
And Tennessee's a completely different looking team with coaching and everything. I don't know what to expect from the Titans. I really don't. They were too inconsistent last year. Now they have a completely different look without Henry being there. But I just don't see them being able to win the division. I don't.
Yeah, I'm with you. I don't know what their identity is. Before it was Derrick Henry, shove it down your throat. Mike Vrabel, physical football when they were hitting on all cylinders. So it'll be interesting to see what they do this year with the first-time head coach.
All right, NFC East. NFC East, I think the Giants and the Commanders are going to be terrible. I don't think either of those teams will win 7 games. So it comes down to Philadelphia and Dallas. And to me, Philadelphia is clearly better than Dallas. And Philadelphia, barring injury, should win that division. Now, they've got a couple of changes, particularly on the offensive line. They added Saquon Barkley. Can he stay healthy? But I just think that they are the team to beat. I think Hurts regressed a little bit last year. Mm-hmm. Okay. I think that he needs to return to the quarterback that he was 2 years ago. But Philly, to me, is the best team in that division. And I think that they will win that division comfortably.
Yep, I'm with you. Dallas, to me, a lot of question marks still. You got guys wanting contracts. Jerry Jones talked about it today. He's in no rush. In fact, Napes, he compared himself to Patrick Mahomes.
He said embarrassing.
Embarrassing. Yeah, they've been 12-5 the last 3 seasons, and in the last 4 off-season or postseasons, they've been 1-3. So,
and they did nothing in the offseason. They didn't do anything. They didn't strengthen their team at all in the offseason.
They did not. They're running it back for the most part. And what makes you think it's going to be any better than 12-5 again? Doesn't
And
me. In fact, I think it's going to be worse.
and
So
Is CD Lamb going to be happy? He's all holding out. He wants a new deal. Are they going to be able to work that out? I mean, if CD Lamb is not happy, that team's not going anywhere.
yeah, and throw Micah Parsons into the
Yeah.
group. He wants a new deal as well. Dak, he's on his last year, $55 million. I don't like how the year ended mentally for Philadelphia, but I do like the mindset. Even though you lose Jason Kelsey on the offensive line, I love that they have Saquon. The question becomes, can Saquon stay healthy? I do think Jalen Hurts has a bounce back year, more balanced approach on the offensive side of the ball. I've got Philly at 12-5.
All right, before we get to the AFC East, I want to tell you about New Works Plumbing. They've got a fix for you, and they are available around the clock, 24/7 for all of your plumbing needs and repairs. Just go to sackserviceplumbing.com or call the number on your screen. New Works Plumbing, they've got a fix for you. And again, they're available 24/7. That's sackserviceplumbing.com. New Works Plumbing, they've got a fix for you. AFC East, listen, the real question mark in that division are the Jets.
Damn right.
I think Buffalo would be pretty good. I think Miami would be pretty good. Will Aaron Rodgers be able to stay upright? They have a brutal start. They open up Monday Night Football in San Francisco. We know that the Jets have a very good defense. They have a very good defense.
Excellent defense. And it's much like Cleveland, a defense that can keep you in the game. How many times was Zach Wilson still in the games last season, even though he was playing terrible? As for that division, I just think there's still something really special happening in Miami. Tua comes in a little bit different, a little leaner, a little more powerful. Tyreek Hill, he's in camp, although wanting another extension. I really think Mike McDaniel is one of the most creative coaches in the league. I like the chemistry that's down there. I like what they're building. I think Miami wins the division at 11-6. I'm not convinced Rodgers is going to make it through the season, Grant. How about you?
I'm with you, and I think Sean McDermott's got the most pressure of any coach in that league, including Robert Saleh. It's do or die for McDermott in Buffalo. They don't have Diggs, all right, so it's a different looking offense. I thought Josh Allen was more consistent last year. I'm still going to go with Buffalo to win that division. I think Aaron's going to have a real tough time in New York. I just do. I don't like the offseason for him. I don't like him coming out in January and making the comments that he did and then missing minicamp. It's almost like he has a different set of rules than everybody else. I know if he was listening to this, he would curse me out.
Sure.
But that's how I feel. And I think the New York media will be very unforgiving if Rodgers starts off slowly this year. But, they'll be very unforgiving, and the fans will be very unforgiving.
I think the fans, and you can speak more to this because you're from that part of the country, I think they've given him a pass with some of the offseason antics because of the injury. Now, does that put more pressure on it this year? Absolutely. And for whatever reason, Grant, it feels like even if Aaron stays on the field, things need to break right for the Jets. Remember last year, Aaron brought in all his own guys or the guys he wanted, Randall Cobb, etc. And for whatever reason, it doesn't seem like that building is on the same page, almost like a push and pull between Robert Saleh and Aaron Rodgers. Aaron Rodgers is probably going to win that battle if it comes down to the two of them.
Well, I will say this about the New York fans. They're okay with, Rodgers and his questionable interviews and things of that nature, but it needs to translate onto the field in play and wins. Okay. And if it doesn't, it will be a very rough year for number 12.
Well said. And
or whatever number he's wearing there.
Numero 8, if he's gonna stick with last year's. And that Stephon
can't take Joe Willie's number. Can't do that.
Can't do that.
All right. One other thing about the Jets.
Yeah.
Their schedule is going to be on prime time a lot in the first half of the season. Could you imagine if Rodgers would go down again in week 1? What a disaster that is for the league.
It would be bad because I don't believe you can flex until week 7 or week 8, I want to say. It would be really bad for the league. I mean, a lot of people got a little fed up with some of the Jets football once Aaron got hurt until they could flex last season. Hopefully he can stay on the field longer. That Diggs guy that you mentioned from Buffalo, guess who's throwing to him now? CJ Stroud.
Yeah, CJ Stroud. Now, I will say this. We are talking in the final few days of July. We'll do this in a month, and we may have completely different answers based on injuries in training camp. I saw the Rams lost a cornerback for the year
Yep.
who started 12 games last year with an ACL yesterday in practice, or at least they thought it was an ACL, or maybe it was this morning, and they haven't gotten the results back. I think it might have happened this morning in practice. Again, you hate seeing these injuries in training camp, but it's part of the sport. It's going to happen.
Yeah, I believe it's Kendricks that you're talking about
Yes.
that went down. And then
Yes.
also Minnesota lost somebody to an ACL already as well.
Yeah. So, I think there are some exciting rookies in the National Football League this year. And so I think there's a good crop of rookies. But to me, there are to me, I know 2 years ago the Giants surprised everyone, but I think the Giants, the Commanders, the Panthers, right? I mean, if I just want, and the Cardinals, I think I can take those 4 teams and just say they're not going to be very good this year. Could surprise? Yeah, maybe. I'm also going to put the Bears in that category. I don't think they're going to be very good. That to me is 5 teams. Minnesota's got enough talent where they could be respectable, even if J.J. McCarthy's the quarterback. But though there are a handful of teams that I just put on the side and go, I just don't see it.
Yeah, and on average, usually about 4 teams that didn't make the playoffs the year before end up making the playoffs. So that narrows that pool down even further, Napes.
Well, I think it's just great that we've got training camp going on. We got the Hall of Fame game coming up next weekend. Thank goodness.
Okay, August 1st. Can't come quick enough, eh?
All right. I don't normally watch the Hall of Fame game, but I'm going to watch it this year for one reason. You know what that reason is?
What's that?
I want to see how they do the kickoffs.
Interesting.
I want to see what the new kickoff is going to look like and how it may change that aspect of the game. All right. I want to see if we have action on kickoff returns and what field position looks like. So I am going to be watching just to see kickoffs.
Very interesting. I'm going to be watching for a separate reason. I want to see how many guys are going to be wearing the Guardian caps, because I think this is going to become a bigger point of contention for the viewer, or at least for some viewers. It's going to take away a little bit visually. Last year, 43% of guys self-reporting concussions. So with that in mind, I think we're going to see a lot more of those. And especially in the preseason. If you get hurt in the preseason and you're a fringe guy, Napes, you're not going on the roster likely.
I want to see what they look like in terms of the color. Are they going to look? I know they're cumbersome and everything, but are they going to be painted the exact same? I mean, are they? You know what I mean?
Oh, good point. Yeah.
In practice, they're all the same.
Yeah, they're either white, black, or one solid color. Very good point. Right. That'd be tricky to paint those things like a helmet. That would be really tricky.
Yeah. All right. Again, if you want to get in on the program, it is easy to do. Again, you've got the link, and if not, we are talking about a variety of topics. All right. How much of the Olympics will you watch?
I'll watch the swimming. I'll watch track and field. I'll watch the basketball, diving, and probably about there. Maybe a little beach volleyball. How about you, Napes?
I'll watch track and field. I'll watch swimming, gymnastics. Not a lot of basketball.
No flag football, partner?
Definitely no flag football.
No breaking?
No golf. No tennis. I just watched Wimbledon, and I'll be watching the U.S. Open. I don't need to be watching Olympic tennis. So those are some of the things I'll be watching.
Hey, speaking of the U.S. Open, do you think, assuming it's as hot and humid this year for the U.S. Open as it was last year, do you think they'll rethink some of the rules with opening and
closing
close the
roof? They have to close the roof. I mean, it's unfair not only to the players, but it's not fair to the people that are paying that kind of money to sit in the stands.
Good point. That's not a cheap ticket.
Oh, boy. No, it is not. No, it is not. It is definitely not a cheap ticket. Hey, I want to tell you about Bennett's, Sacramento, Roseville, and the West Side Grill in Rockland. Don't forget about their happy hour sips and taste. Every day from 2 to 6, great deals. You'll find many of the wines $14 and under, and a variety at just $6. They have the share plates. Don't forget about the weekend brunch, prime seafood and steak at Bennett's. Just go to bennettsrestaurants.com. That's bennettsrestaurants.com. We're also brought to you by Sunrise Landing, and it is the newest residential community in Calusa. And if you go to calusasunrise.com, you can check out their various models. They have a lot of different lot sizes. There's no Mellorews. There's no homeowners. It's adjacent to the Calusa Golf and Country Club. You got great access as well to the major arteries like I-5, Highway 20, Highway 45. Just go to calusasunrise.com. That's calusasunrise.com and check out everything at Sunrise Landing.
Yeah, huge thanks to Sunrise Landing. And by the way, a special shout out to Dennis from the chat for checking out Bennett's today. Said the cheese and chicken roasted corn flautas were amazing. Margarita. So when you guys go in there, make sure you tell them that you heard them about it here on If You Don't Like That.
I love it.
Yep. Loved it.
Yep.
I will retweet that every day of the week. You use our sponsors, you send it to us, I'm retweeting it.
Me too. I think it's great stuff, or at least liking it at the very least. So,
yep.
All right. So we've pretty much covered a lot of things today, and we'll, the weekend with the Olympics and the opening ceremonies tomorrow. They've already started some of the competitions, such as soccer and things of that nature. So it's going to be the Olympics coming at you full force for the next 17 days, I guess.
Yeah, no shortage of sports, albeit maybe some sports you don't always see, but not necessarily a bad thing. And then before you know it, we get through the Olympics, football right there around the corner.
Awesome. Appreciate each and every one of you for joining us here on this Open Forum Thursday. We'll look forward to talking to you soon. Remember to subscribe. That way you'll always know when shows are going to be coming down the pike. Ryan's got the King's Court every day at 2. And don't forget, he's got Jerry Reynolds on Tuesdays at 2 o'clock. So you can always put that on your calendar as well.
Thank you for that, partner. Always a pleasure. And we like to get you involved with Jerry as well. So make sure you swing by.